Welcome, everybody. This week we've got Ghost Block Vineyards on and their whole family of their portfolio of wines. This is really kind of exciting for us because we've got three different brands represented by Ghost Block and three different varietals as well. So we have a Chardonnay to taste, we have a Zinfandel to taste, and we have a Cabernet to taste. One thing for those people that have tasted our different Cabernets that we've had over the course of time, you'll notice that this cab is from Rose Chardonnay Vineyard, which they own. And in the past, we've had Nickel by the Glass. And that also came from, well, Nickel comes from multiple different vineyards, but we've also had the Rose Chardonnay Nickel in too. So this will be fun to have their wine and taste through it as well. Anyway, so we've got three different wines. We'll be running this all the way up until, I think, next couple weeks, a flight. And we'll without further ado, what we'll do is just kind of get in and learn a little bit more about Ghost Block and the whole portfolio of wines. And then stay tuned for those that want to learn, or if you want to learn about tasting notes, we'll also have small, short tasting notes where we actually talk through each one of the wines as well. So we'll talk through the Chardonnay, the Zin, and the Cab. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Morgan. She's going to tell us a little bit more of the family history of Ghost Block, the vineyards, all the history around the land that they own in Oakville, and it should be pretty fun. So without further ado, welcome to Morgan from Ghost Block.
Thanks so much, Charles. Excited to be here. Thanks for tasting through our portfolio today. So I'm actually fifth generation family member of our family here. And what makes me fifth generation is my great-great-grandfather came over from Northern Italy in 1903, and he purchased a vineyard up in Calistoga with a $10 gold coin. And it was 12 acres that harvested 45 tons of grapes. And my family has been celebrating what will be 119 consecutive harvests this year in the Napa Valley. Every single year we have crushed grapes, and it's something obviously that we're very proud of. When Joseph Palissa, the first generation, passed away, he had a son, Andy Palissa, who's my great-grandfather, who really put us on the map and ultimately made major changes in Napa Valley as a county. He served on the planning commission for 14 years in the 60s and 70s as the only farmer ag man on the planning commission when the ag preserve went into effect in 1968. And the ag preserve essentially is what protects our land here and what makes Napa Valley so beautiful. And when you drive, down Highway 29 and Silverado Trail, they look the way that they do because of this ag preserve that was put into effect in 1968 that Andy Palissa served on for 14 years. And so the family today has 1,000 acres on the valley floor. We farm 650 acres of grapes, and the remaining is still in the ag preserve, which is really just our Yountville Hills, where we have about 100 head of longhorn cattle that graze mainly for fire protection. They also have a lot to do with, again, our organic farming. All 650 acres have been certified organic by the CCOF since 1991, a long time ago. My father, who took over from his grandfather, his name is Andrew Hoxie. He took over in 1990 when Andy Palissa passed away. And we purchased Napa Wine Company, which is where we're sitting today. And it's a large custom crush facility here in Oakville, right across the street from Oakville Grocery on Highway 29. And the idea of custom crush came about because of the very large use permit that came with the acquisition of this property. We can crush 8,000 tons of grapes in a harvest. We bottle 1 million cases a year, and we store 10,000 barrels on site. And so our production of our three brands is, less than 20,000 cases. And to put into perspective, crushing 8,000 tons of fruit here, our 650 acres, even if we brought it all in on site, is only around 2,200 tons, like not even close to filling it. But we still sell 80% of the fruit that we grow to a lot of Napa producers you've heard of, but we keep the best 20% of what we grow for our three brands, which we're tasting today. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I know that was a lot of information.
No, I was going to say that was really cool. I did not know some of that history. So that was really helpful to hear a little bit more of that history of the valley and where you
Yeah.
guys are too. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
So,
And I've always wondered who owned that building.
yeah, that's us.
How much is that?
Yeah. So really kind of the way our family has gravitated to what we have today, it's always been in the farming, in the land, in the grapes. Then it became a facility where we could make our own wine. And then the birth of these wines and these labels came about in the mid 2000s. So Ghost Block's first vintage was 2004 for the estate that we're going to taste today. The single vineyard came about in 2005. Oakville Winery's first vintages were 2006, and same with Elizabeth Rose, right around 2006. So the portfolio has obviously grown since those first inaugural vintages, and we're tasting all of our current releases today. The idea behind the portfolio is that we wanted to represent all of our different estate vineyards. We have 7 different single vineyards within the 650 acres. So all of the brands, of course, are coming from our estate organically farmed vineyards. We're going to talk about, I guess, 3 specific vineyard sites where these come from. And we have 3 separate winemakers for the 3 brands. So where we always want our fruit to shine through because we are the growers, and we want to have little winemaker manipulation, but we wanted the winemakers to all have their own mark, if you will, on each brand. And so that's kind of the idea behind the portfolio.